Hi, I'm Zibby Owens, and you're listening to Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. This episode has been sponsored by Bookhampton. As the premier independent bookstore in the Hamptons, Bookhampton has a highly curated selection of books for readers of all ages, unique one-of-a-kind gifts, and exciting author events. Browse their fabulous staff suggestions online at bookhampton.com. I'm really excited to be here today with Jill Zarin and Lisa Wexler, two sisters who are the co-authors, along with their mother, Gloria Kamen, of the book Secrets of a Jewish Mother. Jill Zarin is a reality TV star. Her breakout performance was as an original cast member of The Real Housewives of New York City, which she was on for the first 4 seasons, and by the way, which I watched probably all of. She subsequently appeared on Celebrity Wife Swap and many other shows. An entrepreneur, Jill established the Jill Zarin brand, which she has extended to bedding, shapewear, jewelry, and rugs. With over 1 million social media followers, Jill is a frequently sought-after speaker and personality. Her sister, Lisa Wexler, is a talk show host, a judge, an attorney, an advocate, and a public speaker. She hosts the Gracie Award-winning radio show, The Lisa Wexler Show, in Westchester and Fairfield counties, and she was nice enough to have me on her show last year, which was like the sweetest thing ever. Lisa has appeared on The Today Show, Morning Joe, and many other local and regional TV programs. She's been elected 3 times to the position of probate judge for the Westport-Weston District in Connecticut. These co-authors wrote Secrets of a Jewish Mother, which is now in its 3rd printing and has been translated into 4 languages. These sisters are clearly a total dynamo. So, ladies, I just want to know first, how did this book, Secrets of a Jewish Mother, come to be? Who had the idea? Who decided what to do when? How much to do? How much to write?
So Jill was in her end of second season of Housewives, and she said, I really think that we ought to do a book, which I translated as, Lisa, think of a book. And I was...
No, it was more, Lisa, write a book.
Write a book, that's true. And my mother had been on, I don't know how familiar you are with the Housewives, but my mother was on...
I watched a lot of the Housewives.
Okay.
I watched the early... When Jill left, I was not interested.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well said. So anyway, my mother was on, and she gave this spiel about how life was really between Rosh Hashanah and Passover, and how the years went so quickly. And it really resonated with a lot of fans. And I don't know.
Say that. I still get
And I was in the shower where all good ideas come, and it just hit me like a bolt of lightning. That's our book, Secrets of a Jewish Mother. Yeah.
Right, we never had another name.
Nope, that was it. And then the idea of doing the format came in discussion with actually my friend Virginia.
Well, just going back to the book, I thought, because I'm on a TV show, and I think Luann had written a book, and I just thought that there's a lot I could do. I could do an autobiography. I mean, God knows I could fill up volumes on that. Or I could do something with my mother and my sister. Because for me, it wasn't about the money, where, of course, if I did it by myself, I would get 100%. I wanted to travel and be with my sister and my mom.
Yeah.
And
Jill's a sharer.
I'm a sharer. So we went on book tour together. Well, that was part of my problem with the Housewives in general, because I wanted to share with the other girls, and I wanted them to share with me, but nobody wanted to share with me. Nobody wanted to play with me, and it hurt my feelings. And that's kind of what happened on the show, really, because I wanted us to all be a team, like Friends, how they really stuck together, negotiated together, did everything together. Housewives, oh no, it was every man for himself. And I learned that the hard way.
Did you see how Jennifer Aniston wants the Friends to get together again and make a remake of The Golden Girls?
No.
Well, that would be adorable.
Isn't that funny?
I did not know
great.
that.
Anyway, I just read that.
Yeah.
But she's not old enough yet.
Well,
You think?
believe it or not, the Golden Girls did the Golden Girls in their 50s. We look at them now as if they were in their 80s. Oh, yes.
They were retired living in Boca?
Yes, they were supposed to be in their mid to late 50s in it.
Wow.
So when you did the book, did you all get along?
Oh, yeah. We never had one fight.
Well, because we let Lisa do everything.
Ah.
So it's hard to fight with yourself. So Lisa, she can tell. Her friend helped her format it, because you have so many questions. We'll get through
My
this
friend
one.
helped me format it. I wrote the book proposal.
Okay.
That did very well. It was unexpected. They were shocked that I could write. Remember, they wanted us to hire
always assumed
somebody.
that we would have a writer.
Right, but we didn't.
Yep.
Right, we didn't. And so when we had the format down, which were basically a narrative and then stories and then an ask yourself section, that made it easy. We would collaborate. What are the stories we want to tell? I was at the time on the air between 9 and 10 p.m. and practicing law during the day. So I sat down at the computer 10 o'clock every single night. My show was on 8 to 9. I was at the computer by 10, between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. I wrote the book from June 25th, which is when we had our formal proposal. I handed it on my mother's 70th birthday on October 13th. It had one rewrite, and it was over by Christmas.
That's insane.
And what I would do was I would text Jill. Jill, do you remember when such and such happened?
Because I don't remember anything. So
tell
she'd
me in
say-
your
she
own
would-
words.
And then I'd say, I don't remember anything. And she'd say, oh, yes. And then she would tell me who, what, where. And then I
she
would give
write
you the
it. And
story.
that's why you hear her voice. Her voice really comes through. So does my mother's.
No, my sections are my words.
Yeah,
Like Lisa
exactly.
didn't write
No,
for me.
that's right.
But she wrote all around me. Up and down, left and right.
Right.
One of the things that I liked so much about this book, it was just so relatable. Like everything you said, I was like, oh my gosh, my mother said that, or this is
Really?
what Kyle will tell you, I just like kept like.
What are some of the things that you remember? I mean, as you were reading it, that you enjoyed?
Well,
Because
for-
we'd love to know.
Probably got a lesson.
No, I have a lot of different things. And I have a bunch of different quotes that I thought were amazing. One time when you were talking about worrying, you say the Jewish mother lives to analyze and worry, the two being inexplicably intertwined. The Jewish mother is actually quite happy worrying. It's the default setting in her computer.
I think so.
That
Which I
Lisa
loved.
wrote.
That's
not
like
me.
how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like
That's
that's my
me. Yeah. I
that's
feel
my
that way.
baseline.
It is.
It's like this is my baseline,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
And I feel that way about our
why.
Aunt Cookie, our Aunt Gloria, our mother. And I think it's nowadays, if I
you
was
call
writing
it
that
worry or
sentence
anxiety?
today, I was just going to say, you just finished my life. Today, I would probably say anxiety because that's the new term of art for that feeling, but it's the same thing.
That's like my grandmother keeps saying, I gave you my worry gene.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
there actually is a gene.
Yeah, there actually is a gene.
There was definitely a gene.
And it's catching, by the way.
But don't you feel more
I
at
feel like
ease?
that's why my dog has anxiety now.
Yeah,
I feel
no.
like I've given
It's true.
Joey anxiety after
No,
that.
it's the disease of the age, of our age,
Yeah.
of the modern age.
It's okay. You handle it well.
Another thing that I loved when you talked about dating, I don't know which one of you wrote this, but you said you need to cycle through at least 4 seasons
That's
That's Jill.
with the same
It's funny how
guy
I know what
That's
I say.
Jill.
to
'Cause I
know
still
if
say
you're
it.
really compatible, and that's literally what my mother said to me when I started dating Kyle. And
Really?
immediately I knew I wanted to marry him. And she's like, Sibby, just see him through the seasons.
Oh, I love
Go
that.
through the
people
seasons.
change.
And that's literally was like in the book. I couldn't believe
good.
it. I'm like, that's
Oh, I
what
feel
my
good.
Jewish mother
I
told me.
love it.
Anyway,
Well, you
That
have a
was
real
Jill.
Jewish mother. I met her mom.
Oh, yeah?
She's a real Jewish mom. Oh, yeah.
In the best way.
In the best way.
another favorite was when you said your favorite fashion tip is always bring a sweater. The Jewish mother is never without
Aunt
a
Gloria.
sweater.
We're always
That's Aunt
cold.
Gloria.
We're always cold.
That's Aunt Gloria.
Do you
That's,
always
we
have a
literally
sweater?
grew up with that, and there was always one on the back seat of the car.
Oh, yeah. Mommy
There's
always has like
an
a
extra sweater
sweat
in the car.
jacket or something.
Oh, you wouldn't know about cars because you grew up
No, but
here in
I
the
always,
city.
as a
I have
driver.
the same thing.
Oh, okay.
I always have a
I don't know, cab driver. I mean, an Uber, whatever.
Another thing I wanted to talk about when I want to hear more about your feelings on women's friendships because you did a great job in the book talking about it.
Care about
and
friendship.
I loved how you called them balcony friends versus front.
The audience.
Amelia.
That's my audience. I got that from Amelia.
Yeah, Amelia.
You remember that?
Yes.
So, so what you're referring to, so that the listeners can hear, is that I believe that in your life, your friends are like an audience. You have people in the front row, you have people in the mezzanine, you have people in the balcony. And I used to say and laugh like that Ramona was in the audience, but behind the pole, blocked that she can't see the stage. And that was like a joke. But people shift. So like my friends, the people I met when Allie was in school, those moms became like my front row friends because I saw them every day. We planned things together. We took holidays together. But then life changes. And then when your kids are out of the house, those people kind of fall to the wayside. And now you've got maybe you pick up a sport like tennis. And then those tennis people become your friends and they move closer. So yeah, I believe
You
that.
move them around.
You move them around.
But-
sometimes you have to put them in the back.
But that friendship chapter took a lot out of us. We told real stories from the heart because I really do believe, Zibby, that when you've really loved a friend, and we're talking about women friendships, it's a love affair. Mm-hmm. And when there's a breakup, it's like a breakup.
Oh, it's like a divorce. It was with, as everyone knows,
You take it
publicly,
really
I've
hard.
had.
I don't know if you've ever had that in your life,
no,
but
I have, and it's a loss.
it's a
true
loss. It's a deep sort of
Painful.
grief. Yeah, painful. And then, of course, a little bit of you always loves that person, even if you can't be with that person anymore.
Right. There are things you miss about them.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
You also, the subtitle of this chapter was Finding a Friend is Finding the Best Part of Yourself and Setting It Free.
Free. Don't you
That
feel
was
that
so
way?
pretty.
That was Lisa.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Really good.
She's a good writer.
And the other thing throughout all the chapters, including this friendship chapter, is all the specific tips you get.
Oh, we're into
like
that.
These aren't just like general parenting
No.
concepts or
No.
Jewishism.
We're very concrete. We were raised with a very pragmatically concrete mother. Like no osmosis whatsoever, no guesswork. And by the way, I think that comes from the anxiety gene because the way to treat anxiety is to be very specific.
Oh, good. That's
Lisa's amazing.
I have a son with real anxiety.
Husband too?
Husband for sure.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Well, I thought of you all because a friend of mine recently had surgery, and in your book it had said, call after surgery.
Oh, yes.
Like not writing a text.
Right.
Not anything else.
Telephone
you took
call.
the advice.
And was it
like-
appreciated?
Yes.
I bet it was.
Bet it
And you
was.
know what? In today's world, it's even rarer.
Right, because nobody calls.
We
You guys
wrote
could
before
say,
the
"Pick up
iPhone."
phone." You
Gotta
could,
pick
like,
up a phone.
So I've been trying to do a better job of that. So
Oh,
thank
good.
you.
Good.
I feel like I have these little coaches. You're like my
You
coaches
do.
now. It's
And
really
you have
awesome.
us on speed dial.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I wanted to talk about you were really nice about fathers. So there's all this talk about Jewish mothers, and the whole book is centered. But right in the beginning, you said how the importance of a great dad and how your dad was such a mensch.
The most. Walking on a
still
cloud.
is.
How many successful women
He still is.
come from fathers who are amazing.
They
Yes.
give. Well, they
Supportive
say that a girl gets her self-esteem from her father.
Yes, I believe that.
Self-image.
The feeling of being able to do anything and be anyone and be beautiful. And of course, beauty is incredibly important for women. Women have to feel beautiful, I think, to be successful to some extent. Whether we are or not, there's a
It's
part of us
relevant.
that has
It's
to
how you
feel
feel.
it because femininity and women and beauty are so intertwined.
And how does that play into the dads? You think the dad has to make them feel beautiful?
I think
Yes,
dad does.
my
or
father
doesn't.
tells me
does.
all the time how beautiful I am and how smart I
Yes.
am and how capable I am.
Yes.
Always
All the
giving me,
time.
always
The
right,
boost.
Right.
Always
I hear
the
him.
boost.
I hear
What
him.
do you think about all the latest studies that say, like, don't overpraise your kids?
Well, it depends what you're
Well-
praising them about.
What if they're praising them about how beautiful they are?
It depends.
It's a good
Depends.
point.
No, it depends. So to say someone is beautiful in the way that we learned it with our father was always like, I
Shayna
look,
made a
I
lot.
look at your face and I see beauty. Not that you're dressed up, not that you're wearing a pretty dress.
Right. He would never comment on what I wore.
No, it was like, I look at your face and I see beauty because I see you and you are beautiful.
Shayna made a
You
lot.
can't overdo that. You can't overdo praising the essence. You can overdo praising, false accomplishments.
Well, being honest is, you want to be honest with your kids.
But to feel beautiful in your
But you
father's
don't say
eyes
they're
because
so
he
smart all
believes
the
it
time if they're
is
not
different.
so smart all the time. You don't say they're so
Right.
smart all the time.
Right.
You don't, if they get an
Right.
80, you don't say, oh, you're such a genius, You're not such a genius if you got an 80. You might be one, but you're not working very hard. So
Yeah, we're very practical about that. In fact, my daughter, Joanna, who's now 25, says the biggest gift I ever gave her was never letting her win, which I never did. In Scrabble, in Giotto, in Boggle,
What?
in
Who?
anything. All the games that we played in our house.
Lisa's the intellectual house. They play bridge, things like that.
Joanna plays bridge.
Yeah, they
but
do the
anyway, the
crossword
point is
puzzle
I
on
never
Sundays.
let her win. I don't believe in letting kids win. I think they have to earn winning.
Yeah.
And eventually she's going to beat me.
Well, that's what, so, all right. So do you think that all children, when they're in camp and they're 5 years old, should they all get a trophy at the end of the summer?
Definitely not. Do you
There you
believe
go.
in participation trophies? Do you believe
I
in
never
that?
got a trophy for anything.
Me neither.
So
we were
it's
never good. We
kind-
never won.
Right. And I still haven't. I haven't gotten one tennis trophy. Kyle,
You
who
will.
I play tennis
you
with,
will, but you're on your way, and you will have earned it.
and I will have earned it. So I don't have any. Well, I might have one that I
What
got
do you think,
in
Zibby?
golf.
Do you like participation trophies?
I don't love them. I don't. My son, my little guy, is 4 years old, and every year,
I'm sure that's why I'm talking to
like,
you.
we all go and it's
I
celebration.
know.
You
It's
trophy
nice to
day.
participate, but you don't need a trophy for
Well, the
it.
schools are
He feels good.
ridiculous.
He feels good, but what's the message? Like long term, what's the message?
Yeah.
That you're all the same. You're not all the same.
You're not
Some
all
are
the
better than
same. The
others.
kids already know who the best one is.
Yeah.
Right. I was always the
I'm not a
last
fan.
picked.
I'm
When
not
they,
a fan.
when they used to go, you're the two captains, when you each got to pick, I was always picked last.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a good thing in hindsight because, I knew that I wasn't good at it. If it was where the coach did it and made everything equal, I might have actually thought I was good at something that I wasn't. I mean, I have to say, I told Allison she could sing and she was in chorus and everything, and she's the worst voice
She
you've
does
ever
not
heard.
have the worst voice.
She is
I
so
don't agree.
off-key.
I don't
Lisa?
agree. I like
Trust
her.
me.
I like her voice.
But because I kept telling her how great a singer she was, doing that whole positive thing and putting her in chorus where they could drown her out, she was once singing in the car as an adult, and I said, Allie, you got to stop singing. Why? Allie, you don't hear yourself. You can't sing. What do you mean? You told me I could sing. And she was serious.
Yeah.
What do you mean you told me I could sing? I said, Allison, I
liked
just
her,
said it
clearly.
because you were in fifth grade. What was I going to say? You lied?
I think she has a nice
How
voice.
do you help the kid cope then?
Then you have no ears.
I have a good ear.
All
I
right,
think
we'll
she has a
do
nice
that again.
voice.
Okay.
What do you do when your child is the last one picked? Because that's a heartbreak
Nothing.
for the
It's a
parent.
heartbreak.
You just empathize with your kid, but you don't go to the school. That's for sure.
No.
Right, yeah.
Don't
No,
interfere.
that's not even what I meant.
Don't
no, that's what I'm
interfere.
saying.
I
You
meant
empathize with
the
your
kid.
child. You
Yeah.
empathize, right? You put yourself with them and say that must
And you
feel
try
really
to think,
lousy.
and you think about why. Did it happen because they're being socially rejected because of the way they're being perceived? I know part of it was me.
Yeah.
that and I went to therapy when I was a little girl because there was a reason that they weren't picking me. There's a reason why I couldn't get along with other kids. I had total ADD, and I was probably flying off the walls. But, I didn't get along with the kids, I guess. Yeah. For whatever reason, they didn't like me.
And I know why I didn't get picked, and I used to pray for the softball never to get to me because I couldn't field. In other words, I was the worst. I had no athletic aptitude whatsoever, so I wouldn't.
You played tennis as a kid.
Yeah, but I couldn't do any team sport whatsoever. But you know what was interesting when we were growing up, and you're younger than us, so you're probably Title IX a little bit. We had no Title IX when we were growing
up.
What's
Title IX?
Billie Jean King, equal money for women's sports. So when we were growing up, there was no women's tennis team.
There was no soccer for women. We didn't even have soccer
I started it in junior high school. And I wasn't even a good tennis player, but I thought, we need a women's tennis team. Whatever, we lost everywhere. That doesn't matter. The point is that there wasn't pressure on girls to be great at everything in a way. Nowadays, girls have to be athletic and smart and everything. And I don't know how it's playing out. I think it's in general
I think
good
to apply
for
to
girls,
colleges, girls feel like they also need a sport now.
Yeah, we didn't have to do that. That was one thing we really didn't have to do.
No.
That's one of those misleading things, though, about childhood, because now as a grown-up, you don't even know who's athletic anymore. You don't even know if your friend, your close friends, if they play tennis.
Yeah, nobody cares.
But there aren't a lot of other sports, we're not all picking up our lacrosse sticks and running around the Central Park
Who plays
anymore.
any of those games?
Right, nobody does that
Gym
anymore.
by the way, do they have gym anymore?
They have gym.
Or have they cut that out of the program?
It depends on the school.
Not every day. My daughter doesn't have it every day.
And music?
We had it every day.
Yeah.
They don't
We
have
had
it
every
day.
day. That's how we let out our steam,
Yeah, and you look
supposedly.
at pictures of kids in the 60s and 70s, we were thinner. It was a thinner generation.
Well, yeah,
Nobody
because they
can
didn't
believe
have
it.
soda and snacks in the. Do you know that the public schools have McDonald's
I do know.
and brands in the?
It's disgusting.
lunch? Our kids don't go to
Nothing.
private schools because we live in New York City, but. In general, around the country, that they have these fast
I was
food-
shocked the first time I saw it in my kids'
couldn't
lunchroom
believe it.
because we used to bring our lunch to school. There was nothing. That was like 1922.
Can I ask a little about the show and the
Yes,
impact
of course.
the show?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know how you went from being an Upper East Side Jewish mother, like everybody else on the Upper East Side, to then being a real housewife. And
I have no freaking idea.
How that affected you
No idea.
and your daughter, and you and your family. It
had an impact on everyone.
Well, I can't say that Lisa said not to do it.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And adamantly, and my mother said, don't do it. It could only be bad.
We were afraid.
Yeah.
I get it.
We were afraid.
By the way, afraid of things like what happened to Teresa and Joe, of
New Jersey.
showing money, or not that I did anything wrong, with the IRS or anything like that. Thank God, because if I did,
They would have been on you.
They would have been all over me. And maybe they were, and I don't even know. Maybe they did look into us. And they, didn't. Thank God.
We were afraid of the unknown. We were afraid of the exposure, I thought, and I still feel this way, and Jill knows, of Allison. Mm-hmm. I feel that all the children, and I will say that publicly, all the children in these reality shows are being exploited in their real life, for their real life.
Right. I think that because until you're married, and you have your life set, it's not a good idea to be on television, just in general.
Right.
Because it will affect your trajectory, for sure.
And is there anything you feel like you can do to protect her?
Well, I did. First of all, Allison protected herself. Are you watching Dirty John, the new series on Bravo?
No.
Oh,
What's it about?
Oh, good. Well, it's about a woman who met a guy online dating, and it turns out that he's a fraud and a criminal and all these horrible things. Like, it's so cliche, but it's a true story, and it really happened. And he married this woman, and then she found out. But the point is that in this show, she has a daughter, just like Allison.
Oh, yeah?
But worse, like she's more of a caricature of Allison. But when I said, Allison, I think I found your doppelganger. Watch Dirty John. And then she came back, she goes, oh yeah, that's me. In the show, the girl's very kind of mean about it, but she's a protector of her mother. She right away didn't like the guy, said to her mother, get rid of him. The mother, of course, was smitten. She hires an investigator, and she hires a lawyer.
But so
and she
what-
finds
so
out.
what about Allie on the
My point is
Housewives?
the protector. So Allison has always had a very good head on her shoulders, also being an only child, being around adults probably more, and living in New York City, all those things, that she self-regulates. Allie kind of didn't want to do the show.
Yeah,
She
after
wasn't
the
looking
first
for
year or
fame.
two.
Well, the first year didn't count because nobody knew what we were doing. It was just like
It
having a
counted when it
camera.
became a hit, though.
When the show aired, it counted. But I'm saying when we filmed it, that doesn't count. And that's when she filmed the most. After that, and we saw the show, pulled her back. So when was she there? She was there at an all-cast event, at a dinner. She was never part of storyline.
She still gives you a hard time
She
about
was
the detox.
Right, but that was season 1.
Was that season 1?
Season 1, episode 1.
Was
So
it
it was
really?
like, or episode 2. It was the very, 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 because we started in the summer.
Okay.
So it was definitely episode 1 or 2.
I didn't realize that was the first year.
So, I can't take it back. If I could, I would. If you says, would I take her off that scene? Absolutely. Yeah. I thought it was good at the time. I think there were good things that happened. I think that it taught people that there are things like that around. I think a lot of
some people were cruel to her on social media for no reason.
They called her names and fat and horrible
ugly
things. And yeah.
So I think for the children, and Jill and I have spoken about it.
Allie was
the
on
children
Twitter.
are also not, what's the word, compensated?
They don't get paid.
We feel that the SAG that they've been just missing in terms of the child actors. I mean, if I had my way and whatever resources I would have had, I would think that SAG is completely asleep. Mm-hmm. All these kids in reality shows are not protected the way professional actors are, and they should be.
That's a good point.
Well, there's no union.
They should be.
But
the children deserve
reality.
it.
If reality had
children
a union,
deserve it.
If there was unionization in reality, I've been told, then they wouldn't have reality. Like if
that's right,
because
they'd have
too
to pay
expensive.
people.
Well, no, it would be just way too costly.
That's how they got away cheap.
Yeah.
That's how they got away cheap. But think about all the kids who had to act, the Jackie Cooper generations, et cetera, and they started these children union protections because they felt their life was work. But at least it was a persona. Mm-hmm. For these other children, it's not a persona. Right. It's really their life. So when a family films a therapy session, and the child is there, and a child's consent is not able to be given because they're underage, so by law they can't even give their consent, but the camera is taking away a piece of their childhood.
Their
That's
privacy.
Wrong. That's wrong.
It's sort of similar when authors write these really invasive memoirs about their kids, too, before their kids can really be old enough to say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Right, I don't want you to talk about that story. That would be like me telling the story that I was talking about before, which I'm not, but any kind of story, and writing it without permission. If she was under 21. Because even if she told me it was okay, she may not in 10 years.
That's
so it would really have to be consent as an adult. But overall, I mean, I have to say, I think Allison's happy she did the show. She definitely benefited from it, whether she wants to admit it or not.
I think she likes being famous.
I think she like I said, admit it or not, she'd be like, not, I don't want to say pretend, she doesn't pretend, but, she's cool. She
is cool. And
Allie's chill.
And she's found her way in the world of art now.
Yes.
And she has a big social media following of her own.
Yeah, she has about 100,000 people follow her.
And she does beautifully with that.
Yeah.
She really does.
But Allison, like I said, has always been very mature and...
Yeah, she's got her feet on the ground when it comes to you.
Yeah. And the show. Like, what's real and what's not real. She was always better at that than me. Yes. The line was very blurred for me.
Yeah. That's
Still
true.
is.
Yeah, I know.
Still is. So it's so crazy.
So to get off of Allie for a sec, as much as I think she's amazing. One more thing from the book, because I know we're almost done with our interview, but when you wrote in the book that Jews like to work for themselves more than for other people,
we did write
you said, we'll be perfectly honest, Jews prefer not to work for other people because we do not like being told what to do. Have you ever tried to tell a Jewish mother what to do? I love that.
True.
That was so proud. I felt like you guys were just talking to me.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Well, look at you. You've got your own podcast. You're working for yourself, right?
I think we have a pretty high rate as a group of people of entrepreneurship. I don't think that will ever change. And in terms of, Jewish mothers, we know how to take command and control.
When I think of all the men that I know in my world, they're all either, they could be a professional, a doctor or a lawyer. It doesn't mean they don't work for someone else. They could work for a law firm or a hospital, but they're still their own boss, so to speak. Everybody I know really is an entrepreneur.
My son is trying.
Yeah, he left his job. Without a job.
I know.
To start his own hedge fund. He started a hedge fund, and Goldman Sachs is his clearinghouse.
Clearinghouse.
No, very fancy.
Leviathan Capital Management.
Yeah. Very excited for him.
Very excited.
Biotech.
It's great that you called the book Secrets of a Jewish Mother, because it's not like some of the other books are like very dogmatic in what you have to do as a parent. And you understand your audience completely, right? Like, we're not going to listen if somebody else is like...
That's why it has ask yourself. Right? That has it ask... It's a lot of it is self...
Charts and...
A lot of it is to ask...
Takeaways.
We want to start a conversation.
Yeah.
I love in the book the stuff about medical, obviously, because Bobby was sick. A lot of people ask me for referrals for doctors and things like that, and it's right in the book.
It is right in the book.
How to find the best doctor.
And it's really good.
I'm like...
Did you read it?
Oh, my God. I would just laugh so hard. I mean...
Was it true?
One of the craziest things when we got together is like everything. I'm like, we're going to this doctor. Now you're going to go to that doctor. Now you're going to go... And he's like, what's with all the doctors?
Right.
That's just I was like, see?
Yeah.
It's not just you.
It's not just me.
And my mother has, what does she call it? A diploma?
No,
a diploma?
DWD. I call myself a doctor without a diploma. DWD.
Oh, yeah, we could pass
We are
for
doctors without diplomas.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So what is next for you guys? What's coming up next?
Well, my big thing right now is my rug line, which I'm really proud of. I've done different things, and I've loved everything I've done, but I love this the most. And maybe because it's the right now.
The rug is the most unbelievable product.
The best product I've made.
I just have to give the kudos for it, because after Bobby died, and around that time, I moved into Jill's apartment with my dog, Sugar. And she had Chicken and Ginger, so we had 3 dogs in the apartment, plus, what's her name, had her dog too.
Yes,
okay, Megan. So anyway, there were 4 dogs in the apartment. And the dogs were doing what dogs do, right? And so they were also vomiting and peeing and pooping everywhere. And I thought that Jill would at one point raise her voice or be upset because it was a brand new redone apartment. And as it turned out, there was not a stain at the end of 10 days because all of these brand new rugs, you take a paper towel and you...
That's it. It's gone. And it doesn't go through. Like, you can spill water on it and you won't, it doesn't go to the padding.
No,
it doesn't
it's
go
unbelievable.
To the bottom. It comes
So
right
I
back.
replaced all the rugs in my house.
Thank you, Lisa.
I did. I did. Yeah.
They look good?
They look great.
Any more books? What do you think?
Well, I've started a few.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've started a few.
Lisa's the writer. But
What
I also want Lisa to
wanna
be
write-
Judge Judy. I wanted to be Judge
So
Judy.
the other half of my life, which your fans don't know, is I've been a probate judge now for 5 years. I just got reelected to another 4-year term.
Yay.
And I write opinions every day. I write decrees every day. This morning I was
can
in a
you
mental
imagine the
hospital
story- Oh,
committing somebody. I have a very real, serious life, the other part of my life. This is my creative life.
in hospitals because,
Right,
you know,
because schizophrenia. Anyway, so this is my wonderful, I adore this part of my life. I would love to do another project with Jill. We've been asked to write an addendum because to keep the world
Yes.
like on iPhones, like how would we deal with the digital world? That's not in here,
It needs to be.
and it needs to be.
I'm not even sure
That's
the
what we
answer
should
is.
do.
I'd like to hear what Mommy says. My mother
Yeah.
doesn't have a cell phone. She's the only
Right.
person left on the planet without a
Right.
cell phone.
Which means she can't be tracked, which isn't
That's
bad.
right. No, it's not bad, except it's annoying when I can't find her.
Yeah, but you know what? She's by the bed all the time.
She's always in bed.
She's always
in bed. She's been in bed
She's
since
very
I was in
easy to
school.
reach. Actually, she's easier to reach than we are by far.
Right. You know what? That was so great growing up that I could always call home because we didn't have
Right.
cell phones, and my mother was
Always
always
there. To sit on the
still there.
bed. You remember
You
you
call her
talked
right
about
now,
to sit
she's
on the
still sitting
bed?
there.
She's always in the bed.
I have a great picture of us in the bed, in
In
my
the bed.
bed.
We
with
were
the
bed
daughters,
people. Are
yeah.
you bed people?
Not like
No?
your mom,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Kids don't all jump in the bed and they're all in all the time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in the middle of the night, unfortunately, yes.
Well, no, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
we were in the
still-
middle of the day.
We were in the middle of the day. We're still in
I
bed.
don't think we're as
Bed.
big bed people.
We're bed
We're still
people.
bed people.
Bed people.
I have some great pictures of us.
Yeah.
That's what would go in the next
Yeah,
book.
the bed.
The bed pictures.
Over the years in the bed.
Well, when Bobby died, you stayed with me. Lisa and Joanna stayed with me for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
I didn't leave her
I took a
side.
picture of the 4 of us.
in the
daughters.
pajamas.
Yeah,
It's
in
a
our
great
pajamas
picture.
in bed. Yeah, that was great. You were great.
I would never leave your side.
Aw.
Ever. I love my sister.
I love my sister.
Yeah.
Don't always like each other. No, I'm just
always
kidding.
like you.
I know. Not really.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Do you have any last parting words as advice to aspiring writers, particularly people
Oh, it's so hard to get a book published today.
Self-publish.
Yeah, but it's really hard. The self-publishing is a problem for distribution. It becomes a real vanity project. So your top 20 friends buy it on Amazon. I think the best advice is the J.K. Rowling advice. You've
What?
got to be persistent. You can't give up.
Yeah.
And most authors do.
Well, I always say if you don't take no for an answer, the answer will never be no.
I like that. That's a good one.
Never take no for an answer.
That was you, Jilly.
Yeah. Very persistent.
Very persistent. That's the answer.
I love it.
Don't give up.
Well, thank you both so much
Thanks
for coming
for
on. Mom.
having
Thank you, Zippy, for asking.
Congratulations on having your own podcast.
Thank you.
This episode has been sponsored by Bookhampton, bookhampton.com. Thanks to Ryan and Steve at Texture Sound for the audio editing and mixing. Thanks for listening to Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books.